The NBA season is right around the corner, and some teams are going to be feeling the heat, so to speak, with all of that. So here are the top 5 teams that are under the most pressure in the NBA this season. Coming in at number 5, it is the New York Knicks. When you are the Knicks and you are good, there is always pressure. When you are the Knicks and you had a seemingly promising playoff run last year, there's a ton of pressure. When it was cut short from injuries and you bring some of the key pieces back, even more, and then you make the 2 biggest trades of the offseason, it's going to pile up. The reason I only have them at 5 is because I still think there is the slightest bit of a honeymoon with this group this season. Now, if this year doesn't end with honestly probably 2 playoff series wins, then this team rockets to number 1 next year. The pressure is going to build very, very quickly in New York, but I still think there is a bit of a honeymoon with how good this team is and kind of how out of nowhere that came. So I don't think all of that pressure is there, but there is still quite a bit on them. At 4, it's Miami. The expectations in Miami aren't as high as they are with the Knicks. But I do think that with Jimmy Butler's contract coming up and with like everyone was like heat culture, heat culture, heat culture. Well, since that finals, they haven't done a whole lot. And I think there is now a little bit of pressure on this team to try to stay relevant, because if this season doesn't go well, I think that it could be a little bit, and I know Miami doesn't rebuild. They never do. And they somehow always, they get Dwayne Wade and off they go. And they get a Bam Adebayo and look at that. And they trade for a Jimmy Butler and off they go. But I do think that if this year doesn't go well, we could see just the slightest step back for the Miami Heat. At 3, it's the Phoenix Suns. I think that they have kind of escaped some of the headlines since the postseason, but now, once this season ramps up, it's going to be like, oh yeah, they did spend a whole lot of money on this team to go nowhere and to get just spanked in the first round of the playoffs. There aren't the, oh, well, they're new, it's whatever. This is now, no. You have 2 of the most talented players in the league. They played together all year. I get, like, Beal was there too. But this has to start working in Phoenix. They are paying way too much money to get just annihilated in the first round. Speaking of which, at 2, it's the LA Clippers. They are spending a ton of money. They are going into a new arena. Everything now, from the offseason where they signed that guy, Kawhi Leonard, for those who are listening, and they made this push knowing that the new arena was coming in 2024, 2025. Everything was building up to this moment. And so far, hasn't worked. They had one good playoff run, and otherwise it has been a whole lot of frustration. And they are still spending mucho dinero on this team, except they let one guy walk. And so now you are entering this new arena with Kawhi Leonard, who may walk on a court at some point this year. James Harden, and basically no other backup plan. So I think from NBA circles, there isn't a whole lot of pressure on him because there's just not a whole lot of expectations. But given what this buildup was supposed to be and what this year was supposed to mean for this team in kind of branching out on their own and moving out of mom's basement as the Clippers at Staples before and now crypto dot whatever, they need this year to go well, and no one thinks it's going to. And if it doesn't, I don't know what happens. But probably nothing good with the LA Clippers. And at number 1, it is the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid has won MVPs. You have a team that has won a ton of regular season games, but the playoff success hasn't been there. They then won the offseason. Now they need to win playoff series. This isn't good. It's not good enough to beat the Raptors or to beat the whoever's in the first round of the playoffs. You need to go out and you need to actually win these series. And if they don't, I think Joel Embiid has escaped a lot of criticism because he's really good, right? But playoffs, it hasn't been good. And that, everyone's numbers take a dip in the playoffs. You are facing tougher competition. That's what it's going to be. But every year there has been an excuse. It's, oh, well, Ben Simmons. Oh, well, it didn't give me enough support, which is, I do think, something you can poke some holes in a little bit. Someone commented that on one of the best players in the league videos that we did. And I think we're overstating that a touch because, you've had, they went out and they got James Harden. They had Jimmy Butler. They had to, their starting five when they lost to the Raptors was actually quite good. And now you've gone out and got Paul George. Even if you want to use well, they didn't really get him anyone. Well, now they do. Maxey looks like a superstar, and you brought in Paul George. So now you have a super team here that you need to do it. So that excuse is gone. He's saying that we're going to be committed to a championship, so we're probably going to be load managing this cat a little bit more. There are no more excuses for Joel Embiid. I do not see a player or a team that is under more pressure this year to succeed than the Philadelphia 76ers. Because if this doesn't work, you guys know I'm not a big blow it up guy, and I don't even think you should out in Philadelphia, but you're kind of running out of different cards to try to pull to try to make this thing work. So the Philadelphia 76ers are the team that is facing the highest expectations in the NBA this season.